I'm ready.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And these will be the last two rounds before we get to round 10. When you get to round 10, we will change up the format a little bit more for the later rounds so it could go a little bit faster. So we're going to have Lane's team, the Indianapolis Colts, taking on Dylan's team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Whole lot of poverty here. Sorry you guys got to witness this. But everybody's team will get a video. This definitely is not a primetime game by any means. Let's put y'all at 6 p.m., do competitive, and everything's good to go. Now, we're going to continue where we left off. We were at round 9. Round 9 started off with Kev, I believe. Let's go and look. Draft results. I think I'm on the wrong one.
Yeah, Kev with Jaden Reed.
Kev takes Jaden Reed here. Uh, hmm. Jaden Reed's an interesting player to me. So I didn't really like Jaden Reed too much even last year. I think when you got him in the rookie draft, he was a hit. That makes sense. And then people thought he
Yeah,
could become the number one wideout over there in Green Bay. But we kind of talked about this with the other Green Bay wideouts. They don't really play enough snaps and get enough opportunities to really be that impactful because they all get subbed in and out so often. So Jaden Reed probably was the best one there last year. But yet again, that's not really that impressive in my opinion. Uh, I don't think there's a high ceiling with Jaden Reed. Not really feeling the Jaden Reed pick. I think I'm gonna go B minus here. Do I go C plus? I just go B minus. He at least got youth on his side, so I give Jaden Reed that. But
so my problem with him is that he went from 94 targets in year one to 75 in year two. That's not what you want to see out of a young star. That just means he's pretty much going to be mediocre. He had what, like two pop-off games, and that pretty much made his season.
it carried. Yeah, he had a crazy one against us in week 1, and then one against Minnesota. Other than that, I mean, nothing too crazy. Uh,
Yeah, and they added even more receivers this year, so I just don't see him getting on the field enough. I think this is a C plus.
I probably go C plus as well. I didn't want to be too much of a hater, but it's a C plus. I looked at the other picks later. There's a lot of other players I still prefer. Now we're going on to our next pick here, and that is Daniel. You traded up to get this pick. I believe you gave me 2/3 to trade up for this, if I'm not mistaken. To trade up and get Alvin Kamara here at the 9-2. Uh, so Alvin Kamara is somebody that is old but so good whenever he plays. The problem I mainly have with Alvin Kamara is I think similar to last year, the team won't be in playoff contention, so there's always a chance to just deactivate him. And he hasn't played a full season probably since his rookie year. So I mean, but he hasn't missed more than uh, like 4 games. He always played 13 games or more. But I think it's gonna be another thing similar to last year, where the Saints are eliminated from playoff contention. Why play him? Use the backup running backs instead. See what they can do. They tried that with Kendre Miller. He didn't show too much last year. Uh, so we'll see what they do again this year. But I think they will be out of playoff contention. So we'll have to see. Alvin Kamara, what you got for him?
So with Kamara, the reason
Mm-hmm.
I drafted him was because I want him to take over my running back room while Travion Henderson develops. Um, by the time Kamara kind of falls off what we feel like will be the second half of the season, I expect Henderson to do better by then and be the RB1. Um,
I'm giving it a
yeah,
B.
and also his
Uh-huh.
contract, he's pretty much set there for the next 2-3 years. I want to say, like, it's gonna be very hard to cut him with how much money he's making. Um, I give this a B.
All right, I gave it the same thing. Now we're going on to our next player. That is
Be with Jackson Dart.
Excuse me. I'm gonna take my medicine. Uh, yeah, Jackson Dart here. Interesting pick. Somebody I thought about taking as well. And then I've been more proactive in trading Dak sooner in the season. Because Dart, well, I've been the stack with Neighbors since I got Neighbors. But I was like, I'm not really too sold on Dart. And I definitely didn't
Uh
want to take my fourth quarterback. But Jackson Dart here, he has mobility, which is great that you like. He has an elite wide receiver, an offensive minded head coach. The problem I have with Dart is I think you and I both agree that I like Brian Daboll, but he is definitely on the hot seat. And I don't think he really should be on the hot seat. I think the GM should be on the hot seat because I think the GM has been blundering. Uh, but if Daboll and the Giants have another season where they only get a handful of wins, Daboll's gone. You bring in a new coach. Maybe the new coach doesn't like Jackson Dart or doesn't know how to utilize Jackson Dart to the best of his abilities. You see what I'm trying to say? I think
yeah.
there is a world out there where a coaching change for a quarterback could be tough. But we'll see. Jackson Dart, though, I
I
do like
agree.
it. Get a quarterback here. I give it a B as well.
So I think Jackson Dart is a good quarterback 3 because he's not going to start the season, but once he does, because I think he'll be in there pretty much the second half. I feel
Mm.
like they'll underperform enough to where they're like, okay, we need to put him in there. He has one pop off game. Selling him to Dom. Dom, you heard it right here. I'm selling him to you for it first.
Oh my goodness. Down the free
um,
link in the chat.
but yeah, I'm gonna go B with this one as well.
Yeah, similar to Penix. I'm not sure where Penix went in the startups and stuff, but Penix rookie year, whatever. I think Penix situation might have been even tougher than Dart because we didn't know how long Penix was gonna be a backup. Dart,
Yeah,
this is gonna be a 1 year thing. Wilson's gone after this year, and then Dart will start next year over Winston. So, uh, all right. So going on to our next one. That Kirk Cousins contract is just so crazy to even think about. 4 year deal, bro, and like he
yep.
didn't even make out
Getting
the
paid to
first
do
year.
nothing.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going on to our next pick, which is Cortland Sutton by Bully Boy, number one wideout
Um,
for Denver. So you get a number one wideout that had his best year last year. And really was great down the stretch. Picked up 135 targets, most targets he ever had, most catches he ever had. Goes over 1,000 yards for the second time of his career. And it gets you 8 touchdowns. Him and Bo Nix really started connecting as the year went on. Great chemistry there between those two. And I expect for that connection to continue. I don't think he'll have as good of a season last year. They do add in more competition. They do add in a couple of running backs, so now they have a run game now. So taking the run game being increased. We taking Evan Ingram coming over, drafting Pat Bryant. There's a world where I don't think he gets 135 targets. He might go back to that high 90s, low 100 range where he's been for most of his career, and that's okay. He might be 900 yards or so, but again, a player of that caliber this late, I like it more than the Jaden Reed pick. I tell you that without a doubt. Uh, give me B. I'm gonna go straight B. I thought about going B minus, but I'm gonna go B. Eh,
I'm a little higher on it because to have your wide receiver 5 be a wide receiver 1 in an offense.
that's his wide receiver
So you,
five.
yeah,
Bulls got that many wideouts? Are you sure? You clicked on Bull's name. Remember, him and Chris got some changes. I clicked on team. I scrolled over. I see Puka, Jaden Higgins, Cortland Sutton.
okay.
I was like,
So never
whoa.
mind, Bulls.
Oh, okay.
Never mind, Bulls. You kind of suck in the wide receiver room then. Um, I'm gonna go B with this. I think it's a good pick.
Yeah. All right. Next person. Who is it?
Lane with Mark Andrews.
All right. Mark Andrews. So you and I think, share the same sentiment about Mark Andrews. I'm not that huge on him as I was in years past. I think he definitely. I think that 1 year he had that was like all pro, best tight end in the league type stuff, right there with him and Kelsey, even maybe ahead
Yeah,
of Kittle, was an outlier without a doubt. I think the other years are more accurate of what he is, which is still a really good tight end. Don't get me wrong, but we had to see what Mark Andrews does. Does he have the mentality to bounce back after that atrocious AFC Championship game he had? That could definitely
Yeah.
weigh on you mentally. Uh, but Mark
I
Andrews
do
seemed like
think
he's 800 yards or fewer. What up?
I do think this is the year that he finally starts losing the majority of snaps to Isaiah Likely. I do
I am.
think the transition happens this year.
Mm, I'm huge on Isaiah Likely. And personally, I got Isaiah Likely over Mark Andrews. So with Lane already having a tight end and Brock Bowers, I wasn't really feeling this pick. And then he goes double Ravens. So he goes Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. And
Yeah.
Lamar was insane last year. Best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. When you look at the stats, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks. I don't think he's over 4,000 yards. I don't think he's going that crazy passing wise again this year. So I expect for Andrews and Flowers numbers to go down. But I don't even want to invest in the most run heaviest team or second most run heaviest team like pass weapons like that, unless you're getting like target funnel nonstop, which is AJ Brown and Devontae Smith in my opinion. I don't think Zay
Okay.
Flowers and Mark Andrews will get the same target share of those two players because I think Lamar spreads the ball out so well. He hit Justice Hill, he hit Isaiah Likely, Rashad Bateman. He just spreads the ball out so much. I'm not really sure getting two pass catchers in that offense is a great idea, especially when we don't have the quarterback. I'm not really
Yeah, I'm
feeling the
gonna
Mark Andrews
go
take. I'm going
D
C.
minus with this pick.
All right, I'm going straight C. All right, next person. Put this in my notes.
It is Dylan with Sam Darnold.
Wow, Sam Darnold. If I'm not mistaken, though, Dylan also gets Jalen Milrow later. He does, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
He has both Seattle quarterbacks as his third quarterback behind Justin Herbert and Cam Ward. So I don't really like either of those quarterbacks, to be honest. Either of those three. I think there's actually a chance none of those three quarterbacks are QB1s. Do you agree? That sounds kind of crazy. None of them finish top 12. I think Herbert will finish top 12, but I think there's a chance he doesn't.
Uh-huh.
And I definitely don't
Uh,
think Cam Ward or Sam Darnold finish top 12.
yeah, I do think he'll have a quarterback problem probably the first year. But nonetheless, I still think it's a good pick this late. Getting a starter. And then, like you
Yeah,
said, we have Milrow to back him up as a handcuff.
yep.
Uh, what do I say about this? He has an
It,
okay floor. I
yeah.
love ceiling in my book. Um,
It's
I'm gonna
tough
go
because
C plus.
we gave Dart a B. And Darnold will play this year. That makes sense. And has
Yeah,
shown he can produce at a QB1 level. Although I think that was mad fluky because you're in Minnesota with Kevin O'Connell and the best wide out in the league, one of the best wide receiving. You sound trying like Minnesota's
yeah.
Minnesota. I just don't think Sam Darnold can replicate or come anywhere near what he did last year. But we'll see.
Yeah,
It's tough comparing it to the Dart pick. I'm gonna go B minus, but man, it's tough.
I
You
go
got
C
C plus for
plus.
it. All right, cool. All right, next person. Type this in my notes.
Um, these are where the picks get tough because most of these running backs that are coming up, it's Mike with
Isaiah
Pacheco.
Pacheco. Wow. So Pacheco was a running back a lot of people liked last year. I was not one of them because I was never huge on Pacheco because I don't think he's a great pass catcher. Uh, he scores touchdowns, he runs decently enough, but I don't know. Pacheco this late, or I don't know where I would ever draft Pacheco. I ain't gonna lie, 'cause I'm just not huge on him. So mid round 9, I'm not even sure that's late or early, but I remember where he went last year. He went way earlier than this, but he breaks his leg. He comes back in the middle of the season. Doesn't look the same. That's how most running backs are when they break their leg. But then the following
Right.
year, after a full year of recovery, they do seem to look a little bit better. So we had to see what he looks like. I expect for that offense to be more high powered, and he should be better than Kareem Hunt. Do you agree?
Yeah, but he's gonna lose a decent amount of snaps to Kareem.
Wow. So you think Kareem Hunt can still be annoying?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a 50-50 split.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm not high in this pick at all. I'm gonna go
I got
C
C plus.
straight up.
Just C straight up. I
Yeah.
got C plus. I think there's a world where he could get 60% of snaps. Brashad Smith, are you worried about him or no? 7th round
Um,
running back.
only if one of the other or Pacheco or Hunt got injured. I don't feel like they'd make it a three-headed committee to like try and just get him attempts.
Uh-huh.
One of them's gonna have to go down in order for Brashad Smith to get touches.
So now we have Sway here. He goes to Tyrone Tracy. Uh, Interesting pick here.
But this is awful.
I think Cam Scatterboo's the number one RB there in New York, personally,
Yeah.
over Tracy. So Tracy goes a full round ahead of Scatterboo, and I'm not too huge on Scatterboo, but I wasn't too well. I did like Tracy last year. I even drafted him some underball stuff. I thought Tracy was really solid. Gave you 11 points per game last year, and then when he became the starter, he was more towards 13, 14 points. But I think that's an opportunity cost type thing. I don't think he's going to get that many opportunities this year, right? So, of course, if he goes in half the opportunities, like 50% snap count, you probably cut his points in half. Had a fumbling problem last year, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
but was really good with pass catching. So that's what you expect for a former wideout. But I'm not really feeling this Tracy pick. 25-year-old running back who I think probably just had his best year of his career.
Yeah, I agree. And then with Tracy, I want to say it was a go-go gadget by Sway. I don't think ADP dictates Tracy over Scatterboo.
Ooh, you might be
So,
correct. So
in
I
fact, I
do
kind of
something later.
feel for a fact that is fact that it is.
All right, so I do something later, Dan, where I take Connor and Benson. Do you think Sway should have did that? Because around 10, he had the opportunity to take Cam.
Yeah,
He went with Debo. So you think y'all went
yeah. But Sway
Cam?
doesn't have it in his bag to do stuff like that.
Wow. Damn, Sway,
I
fight
think this
back.
is an awful pick. I'm gonna give it a D plus.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to go C minus. I'm going to go C minus. But I think this is probably the worst one of the round. All right, next pick is Chris Godwin
British.
by Britt. Wow.
I actually really like this pick. I think Chris Godwin comes back and is pretty solid. Um, ninth round, you're not really expecting much at this point. You just want a nice flex, or you want to finish out your wide receiver room with Chris Godwin.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I'm on the opposite. Like I said, I think Ibuka is gonna have to wait a year or at least a year or two.
Hmm.
I don't think he goes on the scene and just blows up. So I think Godwin gets back to where, not to where he was last year, because I think last year his start was kind of crazy. Um, but back to wide receiver two numbers, definitely. So I'm gonna give it a B plus.
I agree. B plus. So far, the best pick out of the round. I do have Godwin over Cortland Sutton. They're about the same age, but Godwin has showcased a higher floor and a higher ceiling for most of their career. So I do like Godwin over Sutton. I got B plus as well. Next, we got Montana taking DeAndre Swift here.
Yeah, I think this is another awful running back pick.
Wow.
DeAndre Swift now is with Ben Johnson, who traded him before. Um, I think it's possible too that Roshan Johnson takes a bigger role.
Oh yes, Dan.
Um, man, it's tough for DeAndre Swift. I think he'll have an okay start, but as the season ends, I don't think he's gonna be a three down running back in Chicago.
I
And then
agree.
by the end of the year, he'll be out.
I agree with that as well. Who do you think they bring in? I think we talked about this in Dallas, where notable running backs on their final year of their contract that I at least know of is Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, at least the young ones. That's
Yeah,
what I'm trying to say.
One
So
of those, or if they overpay for like a Kamara, something like that.
yeah, I think that'd be nasty. They could draft somebody as well, but uh,
Yeah,
I'm cool with
but I think
either of
Swift
those.
is done after this year
Yeah.
for sure.
Uh,
I'm gonna give this a C minus.
wow. See, I don't think Swift's that good of a running back, but he has potentially somehow managed to put up numbers. I think he will somehow
Plus,
manage to put up numbers here, go somewhere else, somehow manage to put up some type of numbers. I don't know, but
plus Montana made this pick awful because he could have got Zach Charbonnet right here.
oh, I do have to knock points. He drafted Kenneth Walker and didn't get Charbonnet there, which I thought was a massive blunder. Uh,
Yeah.
so I was gonna give it a C plus, but I drop it to a C because he definitely should have got Charbonnet. That was a massive blunder there. Now we're going on to our next pick, which is Dom, the prelude. He goes with Luther Burden, just stacked with Caleb Williams here.
Yeah, I think this is a good pick by Dom. It's a developmental pick, so you're not really gonna see much of Luther Burden this year.
Uh-huh.
If anything, towards the end of the year, maybe. Um, I think it's a good pick with the stack. I don't really see anybody else that he should have picked up over Luther Burden. So I'm gonna go with the solid B.
Hmm. Let's see. So you don't think Connor, Ayuk, any of those guys over Burden?
No.
Uh, okay. I'm gonna go B minus. It's not a bad pick, but like I did like Luther Burden so much more before that landing spot.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, now we're going on to me. I take Zach Charbonnet here.
I think this is a really good pick.
Mm.
Someone that's probably gonna be a starter half of the year because his other backfield mate can't stay healthy. And it's gonna be a future pick because once this year is over, Zach Charbonnet is gonna be all up, as far as we
Yep.
know. So I believe he has what, at least 2 years there,
Yeah. You got
or
2 years,
this
so
year and
this year
next
and the
year.
next. Yep.
So I think it's a really good pick. I'm gonna give it an A minus.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. Yo, can we talk about how I also got 2 third-round picks to get this pick as well? Cause I was going to get them at pick number nine, well, earlier in the ninth round. That makes sense.
Yeah,
But I said, no, I think there's a chance he could make it back to me. I took a gamble.
yeah, but I ain't giving you no A.
Oh, this is haterade. Well, I'm glazing myself today. I'm giving myself an A.
Unbelievable.
So, all right, that's the end of round 9. Now we're going on to round 10.
That was the start of round 10, Charbonnet.
Oh, oh, we forgot about the Chris pick. Oops.
Oh, Keon Coleman? Yeah, that's because he's trash. Sorry about that. Keon Coleman, I think he's a bust. I don't think he'll ever be relevant.
Wow.
He can't separate. He's not fast. His hands are kind of stone-ish.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
Not the hands. I like
Honestly,
his hands.
Chris, I don't know why you picked him up. I'm gonna give
Wow.
this a D.
Oh my gosh. So who the hell is Josh Allen throwing the ball to, Dan? You don't like Kincaid?
Um,
You don't like Shakir? You don't like Keon Coleman? You don't like James
Molly,
Cook?
Josh Palmer,
Oh
Ray
my
Davis,
gosh.
and he's running the ball.
Oh no.
I mean,
Uh,
we saw last year nobody really emerged, right?
yeah. And he somehow got MVP.
Exactly.
Eh. Oh,
He's gonna be
Anthony
all right.
Richardson throwing a bomb. AR just threw a bomb. He got tackled at the 3 yard line, Dan. This is unbelievable. A Hail Mary right before half.
Sounds like awful ball.
Oh man. All right. So you gave it a D. I don't know why I'm gonna
Yeah.
give it. I don't think it's that bad. I'd probably give it a C. I think I don't want to give up on Coleman yet. I think he has a higher ceiling than Khalil Shakir, but I also think he has a lower floor as well. So I'm not huge on either of those Bills wideouts like that, but I give it a C. All right, now you gave. So my pick's in round 10, by the way. Now, Dan, you gotta give it a little bit
Yeah.
more of a boost.
A minus.
Oh, Dan, this is haterade. Ah, I got a biased co-host, y'all. I'm sorry for that. All right, now we got Travis Kelce here by Dom.
I think it's another good pick.
I do as well.
Travis Kelce, I definitely think this is his last year, so it's
Yes,
gonna be a
I
one and
agree.
done for him. Um, with Kelce, I think he's gonna be at least a low end wide receiver or tight end one. I don't see a world where he goes outside the top 12 unless he's hurt somehow.
Uh huh.
So I think this is good value, 1 year and done.
But he also has Kittle.
Um,
Do you think he needed to get the other tight end, or should have got the other tight end, or he was somewhere
um,
else?
with the way our format is and the way that you can play two tight ends, I don't mind it.
All right.
And it is premium, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter to me. I'm gonna give this a B just because it's only 1 year. If he was playing longer, it'd be higher.
that's fair. I probably agree with you. I give it a B as well. Travis Kelsey, not a bad pick. I thought about getting Kelsey, but I would have got him then in round 10. I wasn't finna. You feel me? Then I wasn't finna get him at what the start of round 10. Thought it was just a little too
Yeah.
rich for my blood. But I did need a tight end. I hurt to see him go off the board. We got a B here for Kelsey. We agree on that one. Now our next pick is Trey Harris by Montana.
So I'm indifferent about this. I'm a hater, you know. I
Uh,
think Trey Harris is Quentin Johnson Jr. and a
oh my.
different body.
Oh my.
Um, and while QJ didn't do particularly bad last year, he just didn't do good either.
Uh huh.
And I think Trey Harris is in for that same type of year.
Uh,
Uh, I think he finishes as a wide receiver, low end wide receiver 3, high end wide receiver 4. Uh, I'm probably gonna give it a C plus.
Here's my question for you. I thought you didn't like Lad. Who is Herbert throwing the ball
Yeah,
to? Do you think their
bro, it
passing
doesn't
game is
matter.
going to be that
They
bad?
don't have enough attempts for it to matter.
So you just think they're going to be running so much?
Yeah,
Toter's tote? All right.
Hampton, Najee, they're getting 30 touches a game.
So you said C plus. I probably will agree with you. I'm not too huge on Trey Harris myself. All right. Now we're going on next pick. My thing got to load back up.
We're gonna go to Brit with Brian Robinson.
Ooh, B Rob. Not high on B Rob.
Oh, why is that?
Uh, so I don't think he's a pass catcher, especially with Eckler there. I don't see him being a pass catcher whatsoever that much. Uh, so B Rob is somebody that I think isn't good enough to get another contract, and I think the only reason he's doing good is did good last year, is because Jaden Daniels and that read option is scary. Where you got to account for Jaden Daniels. I don't think the
Yeah,
Commanders pay him, so I think the Commanders let him walk. If he goes to a different team, his best years are behind him. I can guarantee you. I don't think
yeah.
he'd be able to do that nearly as efficient as he is. My bad. Let me go back to the draft results. I'm trying to multitask.
It's tough because I think if Brian Robinson never got the chance to be a workhorse, I think he could do it. Because from what I've seen, he's a pretty good pass catcher. They just don't give him the targets. Um, I think it's a solid RB2, but like you said, it's probably for 1 year, and then after that, it's probably downhill from there.
Yeah, because then he'd be
Give it
27.
a C plus.
I agree. All right, next pick is Debo Samuel. Okay.
Yep, Fatty McFat.
One cheeseburger away from a tight end. Of course, Sway makes this nasty pick, and he thinks Debo's the truth. You can't tell him
Yeah,
nothing
30
about
years
Debo.
old. I don't see Debo doing much.
Yeah.
I think even last year he showed a pretty good downgrade.
Yeah.
He was without Ayuk, and he just did not show any.
Now, one thing I will say, I saw this one comment. I did like, oh, okay, I don't know how serious pneumonia is, but he did have pneumonia during the season, and then like came back. So the person in the comment made it sound like pneumonia was, the worst thing ever, plague type stuff. Uh, I don't know exactly how serious pneumonia is, but I mean, we'll have to see. But I just think Debo's one of those wideouts where he has a lot of wear and tear on his body compared to other wide receivers that are 30. And he's never
Yeah,
been a good route runner to begin with. So there's other wide receivers that they hit 30, but their route running and technique is so good, it doesn't matter, right? Debo been one of those guys where he was playing bully ball, running through people. They even lined him up at running back. He playing wide back, so he got a lot of touches there where he's getting popped by linebackers in the backfield and stuff. I think that his
well,
30 is a little bit older than a normal 30 for a wideout. And with that being in mind, I'm gonna go D plus. I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna go D plus. I
you're
don't
all
think I
right.
got that
You're all
good either.
right. He is wide back. I'm gonna give him a C minus.
All right, can't get with the Debo pick.
Debo lost all credibility when he said he didn't want to be a running back anymore.
Oh my. All right, now we get Mike taking Anthony Richardson here, and this almost seems like you remember when we first did our legacy startup. And we
Yeah,
didn't know who the quarterback was going to be for the Niners. And dudes were taking Trey Lance over Brock Purdy, right? Trey Lance went rounds
yeah.
before Brock Purdy and all that. I think this is the same thing here, where Anthony Richardson went how many rounds ahead of Daniel Jones? I'm trying to find. Oh my goodness, Mike. At least Mike got both of them. Oh, we
Yeah.
blundered then. Oh, we let Mike get Daniel Jones at round 18. Wow.
Well, I think you're kind of overstating the fact that I don't think that comparison is valid. I don't think
Because the
Brock
Niners
Purdy.
offense.
Well, no, I
Yeah.
just don't think Daniel Jones is anywhere near Brock Purdy.
Okay.
Like
That's fair.
he's pretty bad on his own. Um, Anthony Richardson. I would have loved this pick before I heard that his shoulder was about to fall off in minicamp.
I don't think I love this pick. I ain't gonna lie to you. Uh, I'm ready to give it an F.
Damn.
Yeah,
I think there might still be some magic in there. Um,
I give it an F.
Jesus. D plus.
C plus. Oh my goodness.
D.
Oh, D plus. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I gave it an F. Didn't like him coming out of college. Don't like him in the pros. Dude's like 50% passing on his career. That's unplayable. Literally unplayable.
Yeah.
Uh, Now we're going on to Cam Scatterboo
Dylan.
by Dylan.
I think this is a really good pick because I think this is one of the last rookies that'll make an impact this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think Cam Scatterboo is probably going to be one of the most underrated picks of this draft.
Mm.
Um, Now where do I rate Cam Scatterboo?
He was a dog in college.
I think Cam Scatterboo, if he's fully unleashed, will be a running back too this year. Um, I don't see it probably getting anything better than that year after year. So I'm gonna give this a B.
I'm gonna go B minus. I think the offense should be better. And with that being said, I think he gets the red zone role. So I could see him getting a bunch of touchdowns. I could almost see him being like Brian Robinson, but just being years younger. That makes sense. So having the
Yeah,
same pathway that Brian Robinson had.
I think Scatterboo's known to be a better pass catcher too than whatever Brian Robinson was in college.
I agree. And now we have Travis Etienne by Lane. Do we see
Travis
the
Etienne.
bounce back? And I think Dan's mic just died. You have to bear with me now. Bear with me. And that's an interception, by the way, by Patrick Queen. We were just talking about the bum Anthony Richardson. That's why I gave her an F. So, Dan's phone died. We're on Travis Etienne. I'm going to continue filling out the draft board. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys what the plan will be for the next rounds. So, round 10 here. Once we finish this round, we're probably going to do rounds 11 through maybe 20 or so. Then we're going to stop, right? Don't want to do all 30 rounds. You know, you're talking about nonsense. But we're probably going to do 11 through 20 or so. We're going to do it much faster. We're probably just going to rapid fire off the full round and then tell you guys the best player, like best handful of players we think, maybe like best 1, 2, 3 players and worst 1, 2, 3 players of that round. And just go into the next one. So that will be our goal for the rounds following this one. So once we conclude this video, that's our goal for the next video. After Travis Etienne, Bullson takes Isaiah Likely. Chris takes Brandon Ayuk. I take James Conner, and then Kev takes Johnny Smith. Dan has joined back, so we're on Travis Etienne. Dan by Lane.
Oh, I was just saying, I don't think Travis Etienne is gonna make his comeback. I think if anything, Tootin and Bigsby are gonna be just a thorn in his side. I don't see anything higher than a 50% snap share for him.
Uh-huh,
And as the weeks go by, it gets lower and lower.
uh-huh.
I think it's another DeAndre Swift situation where he just loses his job at the end of the year.
So
I'm gonna go D plus.
he didn't even average 10 yards a carry last year, and because he missed his whole rookie year with that Liz Frank foot injury, he's older than what a lot of people think. So I
Yeah.
I am in the same situation that you are. I don't think he has a bounce back year this year, or at least, well, he could have a better year than what he did last year. Last year was really bad, but let's say he improves a little bit from last year, right? Cause he gets more touches or whatever. I don't know what the case may be. I don't think it's still going to be enough to be like, oh, dang, that's a great pick by any means. Then he's
Hmm.
going to be 27 going to next year. I think he goes to a new team. Cause I don't see Jacksonville paying him, right? So, did they pay him? It says he's on year 5 for
No,
the team. All right, so they
no.
do a 5th year option for him or something. I'm trying to figure out how this
Yeah, I
joker's.
believe so.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, that's my thing about Travis Etienne. You gave it a what? D plus?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go C minus. Or I have to say, I don't want to write him off yet. Cause I think he's a really good pass catcher. So I could see him going to another team and getting a great pass catching role or something. But I don't think it's gonna be a good year in Jacksonville per se. Our next pick is
Bully
No, no, no.
boy.
Yeah, Bulls with Isaiah Likely. That's his second tight end. And Bulls is playing bully ball with the tight end. Bully tight end strategy. He goes two young studs, in my opinion. Loveland and Likely. Who maybe this year might not have their best years, right? But I think
Yeah.
next year, I think Loveland and Likely are going to be early picks in redraft. Maybe top 5 tight end picks in redraft. Right?
Hmm.
Kelsey will be gone. You'll still have McBride and Bowers. Kittle will be a year older, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if people were taking the upside swing of Likely or Loveland over Kittle, depending on how Likely and Loveland do this season
Yeah.
over the aging Kittle. And then what? You have Laporta in the mix. You got Tyler Warren, depending on what they do. But I think Likely and Loveland next year could be right in that same conversation in redraft. But dynasty wise, oh, that's even more valuable because they're so young. Uh, man,
Yeah, I agree.
I like this pick a lot.
I'm gonna give this pick a B plus. It would be higher if I knew Likely was gonna be a starter this year, for sure. Um, but the future looks bright.
I'm gonna give it an A minus. Uh, I wanted this pick bad. That Likely one did hurt. What's the next pick, by the way? I gotta look back in.
It's Chris with Brandon Ayuk.
Chris with Brandon Ayuk. So these are the Niner wideouts. Now I kind of want Ayuk as well. Cause I want to get Ayuk and Pearsall to make my situation having the Niner best wideout be a little bit better. Uh,
Hmm.
'Cause I think I like Jennings, by the way. And I think there is a world where Jennings is the best wideout this year. But I'd rather bank on Ayuk, who has been the best wideout before, and we've seen what that looks like, and Pearsall, who I think is more talented than Jennings, right, when it comes to speed and all that. Uh, so it's like I think Jennings is like a floor pick. I think Pearsall is a ceiling pick, and then Ayuk's like I don't want to say the safe pick could be injured, but like a proven pick or something. I think they all got pros and cons, all three of those players. So I really
Yeah.
wanted Ayuk as well. So I kind of got double sniped here. Good pick here by Chris, in my opinion. But what do you think of Brandon Ayuk?
To
Another
me,
wideout.
Ayuk is insulated as far as contract for the next 2 years, whether
Hmm.
he gets traded or not. Um, my thing is with this contract, you don't give a man as much money as you give Ayuk and not throw him the ball.
Yeah.
So the best thing that can happen is that he comes back healthy. We'll see about the pup list, but I think you get 2 solid years of production, maybe three. I'm gonna give this a B plus simply because it was so late, and you're getting a wide receiver one here.
Now here's my question: are you worried about what happened last year? What I mean by that is, of course, he got the knee injury, but before the injury happened, he was not looking very good. He wasn't looking very Ayukish, as Sammy
Um,
Usopp would say.
so yeah, I think we've talked about this many times. Me and you, training camp holdouts. I
Yeah.
think it's a big factor in how people start the year.
Hmm.
If you're not in training camp and you're not getting the reps that you need, you are gonna start the year slow. So I think that's what attributed to the slow start, and then of course the ACL happened, so he never gotta, fully get out of that.
All right. You gave it a B plus. I'm giving it a B. Now we have my pick here, right?
Yeah,
What did I take here?
took James Conner.
James Conner. All right, cool. Uh, a really good running back goes in about round 5 of redraft. With the first last year was the first year where he was healthy, I think ever for the
Mm-hmm.
full season. He got hurt in like week 17, so he didn't play the final week. But they already eliminated from playoff contention. Maybe they weren't. He would have played that week, but I mean, why force it or anything? But last year, fully healthy. Now he turns 30. Do you think he gets another fully healthy season?
I
Finishes
want to
RB
lean towards
11.
the no,
I kind of agree.
but even when he's missed time, it's not like he's missed significant time.
Exactly. It's only
I
been a
think
handful
most
of
he's
games.
missed is like 3 or 4 games
Yeah.
in a year.
Mhm.
Um, my worry is that I don't think an extension was ever made between him and the Cardinals.
I thought he had a 2-year
Um,
deal. Let's see. Can we find it here? I thought he got a 2-year deal this off season. Let's see. James Conner contract. I'm gonna look at it real quick. Look it up. I hope they have been in the notes on Sleeper. Oh yeah. So on November 30th, James Conner signed a 2-year contract extension. Uh, so he's with the team through 2026. That's actually
yeah.
awful. Oh my gosh. Trey Benson's.
Um,
You know.
so yeah, Trey Benson's gonna have a tough time unless injury happens.
Yeah.
Um, well, if that's the case, and he has at least 2 years, and I think that this is a B plus. I give it a B plus. I would give it a B, but I just like you got Benson as well, so I think that improves that grade.
Yeah. And Connor has been a difference maker, in my opinion. What I mean by
Yeah,
that is like 15 points per game, probably for most of his career. Last year,
yeah.
he was close to 16 points per game, and that's really, really good to get this late in the draft. Similar to Aaron Jones, but I think Aaron Jones is a little bit older, and I also think Jordan Mason is better than Trey Benson. So I think Jordan Mason might be a little bit more of a nuisance. That makes sense than Trey Benson will be, but we'll have to see. But either way, James Conner here. You gave it a B plus. I'm gonna give it an A minus. I like that pick a lot. Uh, I knew I was gonna come back with Trey Benson right after. Now we got
Mhm.
Kev here. So I got the lead running back for the Cardinals for the next handful of years. So I'm cool with it. We got Kev here, by the way, with the final pick of this round. Who does Kev pick?
So he took Jonathan Smith. This pick was good when we drafted.
Oh, I agree. I think it's awful now. And does he
Now,
have Pat Fryermuth? Am I bugging? Does he have both?
um, no.
Okay, I thought. Okay, that'd been awful.
But yeah, now Jonathan Smith has went from the Miami Dolphins to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If anything, it's like a 1A, 1B situation with Fryermuth.
Yeah,
But they are going to eat into each other's snaps.
yeah.
There's no a way around that.
Hmm.
I think at this, so Fryermuth was in the 14th round. I think Jonnu now, if we were to draft today, would probably be around that range.
Mm,
Um, so the fact that it was in the 10th, I'm gonna give this a D minus,
dang.
which is tough on Kev because obviously you never knew that that was gonna
Yeah.
happen.
So what about if this would have happened? Let me think. So think of he's still in Miami. What would you give this grade?
Probably a C plus.
C
I would have
plus.
liked to have seen an extension happen between the two to
That's
make it
fair.
higher.
Uh,
But yeah, probably would have given it a C plus.
so I'm looking at Kev's team here. You know, we didn't like it to begin with because we thought that going with no wideout through the first 3 rounds was a blunder, and then the first wideout you take is Xavier Worthy in round
Yeah,
4. Uh, then like he goes Jaden Reed and Jordan Addison. I think his wideouts are abysmal. And then he
yeah,
starts taking a bunch of wideouts later. But I'm looking at all the tight ends he invested in. Kyle Pitts at the end of the round 8, Jonnu at the end of round 10, and like I think Kyle Pitts went too early. You know, we both didn't like that pick. We look at the
hmm
Jonnu pick. That's unfortunate there. I think Kev had a bad draft, but I'm like, all this tight end capital. You see all the tight ends he drafted later too? I think all his
yeah,
tight ends kind of suck. He goes Harold
yeah,
Fannin, Dalton Schultz, Theo Johnson, and Eric All.
yeah. You probably would say Fannin probably has the most potential, and
Yeah,
that's just tough to see
yeah,
when he drafted a tight end in the 8th and 10th round.
yeah. Ah,
Um, yeah, I think Kev is definitely in the running for worst draft so far.
I would agree with you. So that will conclude this video, everybody. So like I said, on our next video, we will switch up the strategy and then go a little bit faster through rounds 11 through probably what you were thinking round 20, Dan. Probably not do
Probably
the
20. Yeah.
yeah. Let me see. There's a couple picks here. We might do 21, or at least the first pick. Cause Joe Flacco is somebody that Cat picked up around 21. I thought that was a good pick. I should have got him in defensive players, but I didn't put in any waiver claims or anything. So then I'm playing a chess game, and I see this Joker Dan. Added player, added player. And I'm like, oh shoot, do I go right now to sleeper and go add the players or not, or do I stay in this chess game? So I went and finished the chess game. This Joker Dan, by that time, they added like 6, 7 players and defensive players, whatever. Joe Flacco being one of them, which I think is a real solid pick. But even more so solid in a 12. Well, no, I think it's about even. Defensive players. I think defensive players and leg freedom are equal in quarterback value because
Yeah.
there's 24 every week that should start, right?
Yeah.
Where legacy, it's only 20 that should start. So, you know, defensive players and freedom, I think, got equal value. So to get a starting quarterback, even if it's only going to be a handful of weeks, whatever, I think it's still
hmm
solid. All right. So we'll go 11 through 20 on our next pick. I mean, our next video. Maybe be able to do that in 1-2 video. Who knows? But I appreciate everybody staying tuned, watching this. Dan and I are finna get on MLB, unless he doesn't want to play MLB. But that's a different story. All right, Dan, we're off.